With preseason only a few days away for San Francisco, a player I expect to be absolutely dominant this season is Bryce Huff, their newly acquired defensive end. With Robert Saleh during the 2023 season, he led the entire NFL in pressure rate, and I think he's going to get right back to that because he wasn't a scheme fit with the Eagles. He really had to stand up routinely, in part due to the injury he sustained last season, but also due to their scheme. For the Eagles, for instance, he was considered another linebacker in Vic Fangio's 3-4 scheme compared to San Francisco and Robert Saleh's 4-3 scheme, which really allows Bryce Huff to pin back his ears and get to the quarterback. So in this video, I want to go over how San Francisco plans to use Bryce Huff in their defense this season, his strengths, his weaknesses, as well as his career up to this point, so we can get a full understanding of what to expect out of him for potentially the next couple of years. Initially starting out, I do want to speak about how San Francisco will be planning to use Bryce Huff this season. In Chris Kaceric's wide 9 defensive front, primarily he's going to be a pass rush specialist, most likely coming in on third down, while San Francisco's first round pick in Mykel Williams will serve as the first and second down defensive end, then sliding over in their NASCAR packages to continue to rush the passer on the interior of the defensive line. And when you think about this for Bryce Huff, it's perfect. Not only will this create a ton of one-on-one opportunities where he can just frankly dominate routinely, it'll also mean he has a full head of steam every single time he goes against a tackle. Another advantage for him. Another way I expect San Francisco to use Bryce Huff when he's on the field, especially when he's on the field with a player like Mykel Williams, is on stunts. Imagine both of them crossing in front of a tackle and guard's face. Both of them are just too athletic to block, and I envision this just wreaking havoc on offensive lines this season, so pay attention for those stunts across the middle. Maybe the most important way San Francisco will use Bryce Huff though is in a 3 and 4 point stance where he can get off the ball insanely quick. I mean, he has one of the quickest first steps we've had on this team since maybe D Ford. Which brings us to what Bryce Huff really excels at, and that's getting off the ball quick. Here going against the Houston Texans, for instance, you can see how he's almost able to get off this ball as quick as the offensive linemen who know the snap count. And then he does an excellent job of swiping away 77's hand, getting to the quarterback, and bringing him down. Expect a lot of this with San Francisco. Another rare ability Huff possesses is the ability to bend the corner without sacrificing any of his speed. Here going against Mike McGlinchey, for instance, you can see how he's going full speed at the corner. Mike McGlinchey has to start lunging at him, and at the last second, he puts on the brakes, causes Mike McGlinchey to fall, and ultimately is able to get the sack on Wilson. Maybe equally as impressive as his athleticism is the power Huff plays with, which is actually extremely challenging for offensive linemen to deal with. Here going against the Giants, for instance, you can see how initially it looks like he may be challenging the edge of 67, but then he transitions into a power move, and look, he almost picks him up off his feet and then finally gets the sack on Taylor on this play. Huff is special. Maybe my favorite part about Bryce Huff though is how he's continued to refine his game since entering the league as an undrafted free agent with the Jets. Already I've shown you several of his pass rush moves, but his repertoire is almost endless. Here going against the Colts, for instance, once again, pulls out the speed, then hits him with the hunt move, proves to be extremely effective, causes the fumble on the play, and gets his team the ball. And even when the team does account for him, like the Giants do here with 2 players, because of his ability to successfully link together pass rush moves, he still will get to your quarterback. Here, for instance, pulls out the double hand swipe, then successfully transitions into this little rip move, gets to Jones, and gets the quarterback down on the play. Another aspect I absolutely love of Huff's in his pass rush is just how relentless he is. If his first move doesn't work, he'll transition into his second move. Second move doesn't work, third move. Basically, until he gets to the quarterback, he's not going to give up. I also love how he's an undrafted free agent, so he should be able to help teach players like Mykel Williams, Alfred Collins, CJ West, all what it takes to be a successful NFL player even when everyone counts you out. Now we need to talk about Huff in the running game. While he's a better pass rush specialist, I think a lot of people underappreciate just how powerful he is here. Here going against the Bucs, for instance, he literally knocks off this offensive lineman's helmet and then ends up making the tackle on the back on this play. I get it, he's a pass rush specialist without a doubt, but I'm not afraid really if he's in there on your running down. I think he is capable of stopping it, especially in San Francisco's front. He had a lot of success with Robert Saleh. And because of his athleticism and relentless pursuit, he can chase down ball carriers from the backside like he does kinda here against the Browns. With those positives being noted, we need to talk about the weaknesses for Huff, with probably the biggest just being his size. He comes in at 6'3", weighing 255 pounds, so he could be washed out by a double team. He also only has one real breakout season with the Jets, recording 10 sacks. Probably my biggest concern for Huff though is just his injury history. I do think he's going to have a lot of success re-entering Robert Saleh's defense if healthy, but he needs to remain healthy and prove he can do that long term for San Francisco. Last year he had torn ligaments, and before for the Jets, he had a back issue. To see if these injuries are something that are reoccurring in his career though, I did want to go over his career up to this point so we can get a full understanding of the player San Francisco is getting headed into the 2025 season. To start, we were first introduced to Huff at Mobile, Alabama, where he attended St. Paul's Episcopal High School, and as a senior, he was named first team All-State after recording 93 tackles, 7 sacks, and he played linebacker as well as defensive end according to 24/7 Sports. This was good enough for him to be ranked as a 2-star recruit according to 24/7 Sports, and he had offers from Memphis, Arkansas State, Georgia Southern, Nicholas, and South Alabama. Initially, he did commit to South Alabama before recommitting to Memphis. And as a true freshman, he primarily played on special teams, but as a sophomore, he was added to the pass rush rotation, making 3 starts, finishing the season with 30 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, and 2 sacks. His true breakout year though came as a junior, where he started in 8 of 14 games, was an all-ACC pick, led his squad with 19 tackles for loss, as well as 9.5 sacks. As a senior, Huff once again earned all-ACC honors after starting in 14 games, registering 52 tackles, 15.5 tackles for loss, 6.5 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles. After the conclusion of his senior season, Huff did decide to enter the 2020 NFL Draft, and while he did go undrafted, shortly after he signed with the New York Jets, and more importantly for San Francisco, Robert Saleh. And initially for the Jets in 2020, he played in 14 games and registered 2 sacks despite being an undrafted free agent. The following year, he was listed as a starter, but after only 5 games, he injured his back and went to IR. So that is a concern, but overall that year, he played in 9 games, started in 7, and once again registered 2 sacks. For the 2020 season, he played in 14 games, registered 3.5 sacks, as well as a forced fumble. His true breakout year for the Jets though came during the 2023 season, where he played in 17 games, had 29 tackles, as well as 10 sacks. This led to him signing with the Philadelphia Eagles, and he started in 6 games last year and played in 12. He registered 2.5 sacks and a forced fumble. And while this isn't what the Eagles were hoping for, he was in a different system as well as dealing with an injury. Speaking of injuries, I don't think it's necessarily something San Francisco has to be concerned about long term for Bryce Huff. While he has dealt with some injuries in his career, overall, he's been healthy and a productive player. So entering San Francisco, I expect to see maybe a repeat of the 2023 season. But now, I want to hear your thoughts about Bryce Huff reuniting with Robert Saleh, the same defensive coordinator where he led the league in pressure rate. It would also mean a ton to me if you could like and subscribe if you did enjoy this video. It helps out the channel a ton. And as always, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.